Hello, you guys. It's so nice to be here with you live on Instagram. And we are going to be joined shortly by beautiful Amanda Rahija, who I just interviewed about her journey with breast cancer. And it's such an amazing interview. She is so empowering and has so much to share, and really an open book. She not only talked about, all of the positives of what she experienced and how she's helping other women now, but she also talks a lot about her. Make sure I'll post the link, the YouTube link for that video after I've uploaded, and you guys can go ahead and check that out. And here she is.
Hey, everybody.
One. This is so great, Amanda. I loved interviewing you. That was so much fun. And I was just saying to the people, I really appreciated how you spoke about all angles of it. It wasn't just the I'm out on the other side now and here are all the positive things I'm doing. You also shared what it was like to receive the diagnosis and how you felt and
Yeah, it's such
all
a
of that.
such a funny thing because when you're like, it's been 12 and a half years for me, but
Yeah.
like some of the memories are like, you block out, but then some of the stuff I'm like is so vivid and so there, but it's some of the things that I wish people would have told me. Like I related to like when people like give birth, right? And
Yeah.
they are like, "Oh my gosh, like, this happened and they remember it all right after." But then
Yeah.
they don't share everything with people or like, all those things. And I'm like, if someone would have told you this, and this, you might have prepped yourself better, or you might have, whatever it is better. And
Yeah.
so I feel like that's kind of why I do like give people the raw, the real. Some on like my social media, you're not getting like the full graphics or like, but people that are close to me are like, hey, can I feel your lump when I got diagnosed, when I found a lump? They're like, I don't even know what I'm looking for. I'm like, neither did I.
Wow.
Do you want to feel it? Right.
Wow. Amazing.
And then even just like if you're going through the journey, what helped me the most to learn about what your body's going to look like or could look
Mhm.
like is by seeing other people's scars, their war wounds, right? Because
Yeah.
it emotionally, even for this last surgery for me, so having my implants removed, one of the best things that could have ever been was seeing other people what they look like completely flat, seeing what their scars looked like, and then being able to like bring that to my surgeon and be like, this is what I want, right? Like, so I feel
Yeah.
like us being raw and vulnerable with one another helps people to be like, okay, I need to know from you and I want the real stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing. It's funny what you were saying about, letting your like people that were close to you actually feel the lump to see what it was like. I remember when I switched from a male doctor to a female doctor when I was 15 or 16 years old. And I can't remember how old you are when you start getting like a manual breast exam.
Yeah,
I guess, what are we, like 1920, something like that, when they,
probably. Yeah.
anyway, somewhere around there. And so what she did with me was she said, you're going to do this with me. So she gave me the exam first, then she took my hand and said, feel that? That's a rib. Feel that? That's a rib. Feel that. She helped me to identify any area where I felt that where I thought maybe I would feel a lump,
Yeah.
and really helped me to familiarize myself with what my breasts felt
That's
like.
amazing.
She was so good. Yeah, so good. So I love that you did that for your friends, because it is so valuable. Like, and maybe there's a way doctors can do that, to create something almost where a person, a young girl could touch it and she knows, okay, this is what if I
Yeah.
feel this, I got to do something about it, right?
Yeah, it's so true.
Yeah, wow. So you got to tell us about some of your concoctions that you're doing with your oils, because I love how you do this you really show people like how you prepare a pre-surgery, what you do after surgery to recover, to detox from all of the stuff that's going into your system. So, and I mean, I know that the company that you're representing, they provide some education, but I think a lot of this from what I see, is you really doing the research yourself, right?
Yeah, and it's,
Yeah.
I mean, we know that, natural health products and tinctures and oils and pastes and,
Mhm.
herbs have been around for centuries, right? So it's not brand
Yeah.
new to us. We just in Western societies have been given the opportunity to have more medications that we go to that first, and we kind of have forgotten some of the other things. So the
Right.
interesting part was for me, I'm allergic to morphine and I struggle
Oh,
coming out of an anesthetic. So I've known that from previous surgeries. So this was my second surgery where I was like, okay, I'm allergic to morphine. So I also struggle with, and my mom's whole side has struggled with any painkillers, like just painkillers in general, like even just taking a Tylenol, I've never really, or an Advil, it doesn't sit well in my stomach. Like I've just never done well with those things.
yeah.
So going into surgery, I got like the least amount of anesthetic that they can give you. I was
Hmm.
on different pain meds. And so I actually woke up in the OR. And so this is the first time I've ever had it
No.
happen. But it was kind of cool because other times they've had to try and wake me up and they're like, saying your name, yelling out, and then I've had trouble breathing and all of that. So this was kind of a cool experience to like wake up, and I was done surgery. Like I was all closed up, but they're like, "Oh, you're awake." I was like,
Oh,
"Oh, I'm where I like fell asleep. Like this is where I was." So that was kind
wow.
of interesting but cool because I didn't have that negative. It's funny how things get stored in our brain about like what I expected to happen. I was expecting that I was
Mhm.
going to have like struggle to wake up, that I would have all that coughing, struggle to breathe, and this was in fact very different. So that was awesome. Just like your doctor's listening to you and me being very firm, being like, I can't have a lot. Like it just doesn't sit well with me. And you have to
Right.
think too, like, so, I mean, you're getting your chest wall scraped, you're getting your implants removed. Think about coughing. Yeah, not
Oh,
very nice. So I
God.
was like, I don't want to cough. In one of my previous surgeries, I actually threw up from like the pain meds. And again, think about like heaving and throwing up. I know that's kind of gross, but like that's the real part of it, right?
Wow.
Like, so I was like, I
Yeah.
don't want to do that. And so I knew for me, pain meds don't go really well in my system. I also know it's not good to be on pain meds, like for two reasons. One, your organs don't love them. They're not meant to be on them long term. But
Mhm.
also, I like to feel a little bit of pain, and I have a high pain tolerance, but I like to feel a little bit of pain because otherwise I feel like for people with my personality that I'm like go go go, I know that when I don't feel pain, I will do more. Like I'll be like, "Oh, I can do this. I can do that."
Yes.
Right?
Amen, sister.
And then all of a sudden you're like, ooh, that stitch just tore, or ooh, that like I didn't heal
Yeah.
properly because you. So I feel like when you feel a little bit of pain, it allows you to take the time to heal. So my surgery to have my implants removed was on a Thursday. And so in my mind, I already prepped to have them out, like to not be on any pain meds by like Saturday, Sunday. I'm like, take the pain meds to sleep, take all of that and figure it out. So in the hospital in recovery, I'm like, I'm still feeling a lot of pain. They're like, okay, well, we'll give you another whatever, oxy, another this, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, it's
Mhm.
not doing it, like not touching it at all. I'm like, okay, so now what? So my surgeon said, I'm going to give you Valium because Valium will help muscle relax. It'll help you calm and hopefully that'll help you sleep.
Mhm.
So got all that, got home, and I'm like, this isn't working. So luckily I had planned some of my little concoctions beforehand. And so I know about like inflammation and we know about the body. I mean, our bodies are meant to heal. It wants to heal, right? So
Yes.
you just want to kind of give it the extra tools. So I used some oils. I used copaiba. I used marjoram. I used frankincense, and I used bergamot and black pepper was my um, pain reliever. And
Oh,
so I honestly, and here's the thing, I was like, I've never had a major surgery and not been on like pain meds not work. So is something like these oils gonna work? And I believe in the oils. I've been like I teach about it, but like that skepticism comes back, right?
yes.
But I'm like, I have nothing else. I can't like do anything else. So yeah, so I started using that and I didn't take another pain med. I tried the lithium the first night because I was like, or the Valium, sorry, the first night. I'm like, let me just see, right? I was
Wow.
probably relaxed for maybe 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and then I was jittery. So I'm like, well, that's
Really?
not working for me. So
Oh my
I almost had to just like rely on what I had. And then it's amazing though what your body does, because it's like it wants to rest, right? So you get to
God. Right.
feel what that feels like. And so the essential oils really just and truly are helping your body just to like, our medicines are all made from plants. They're all derived from plants, right? Plant
Hmm.
extracts. So now you're just taking those natural plant extracts and doing exactly what that medication was, but you're doing it with something natural. And so being able to take them internally, being able to apply them topically, being
That was
able to
going to
do
be my
that.
next. That was going to be my next question. Is it mostly like for what you were doing? Were you mostly ingesting them, or were you breathing them in, or?
So I was doing all three. So all three. I mean,
Okay.
I was breathing them in and diffusing them just to kind of be relaxed, right? Because when, I mean, if you
Mm.
think of when you're stressed and you're tense, your shoulders clench up and then your whole chest clenches. So I'm like, if you just relax, you're not going to feel as stressed. And so that was, that. And then internally, yes. So the ones that I was using were safe to be using internally. And so I was taking those to be able to manage them. And if you think of like, popping, another. Oh, there you're back, Monica. Okay. Okay.
My
And
phone
then
cut out a bit.
topically was just like really you should be applying something directly where it is, right? So if you're feeling that throbbing, if you're feeling those spasms, being able to apply it directly on allowed some of that relief just in those direct areas. And then,
Right.
after surgery, for anyone that's been through surgeries, all of a sudden you look on your body, you're like, where did this bruise come from? Like, why is this sore? So it's nice to be able to have, like, you can put things on topically. You're like, oh, that was probably their elbow as they were, of course, like leaning in on you,
Right.
but like all those other things. So that definitely helped on like not being able to have anything. And I'm sure I could have went. So don't get me wrong. My surgeon would have been very open to me coming back and saying, hey, that's not working. Try something else, right? Here's another medication.
Right.
But I was done. Like it was day of surgery. I just wanted to sleep. So there was part of it kind of also going, let's just try this. I planned to be off them on the weekend anyways. So
Yeah.
let's just see if it worked. So thank goodness they were all prepared in, like I had it done in a roller bottle beforehand. Thank goodness. And my
Wow.
husband was amazing to be able to just apply them and help make them, because you don't realize how much you use your arms.
Yeah.
And so
For
he was able
sure.
to do all of that. So
Wow.
super helpful. And then I use stuff on my scars now just because I know from having the surgery before,
Hmm.
scar tissue, breaking down scar tissue, and all of that's super important. So as soon as you can safely get, everyone's saying, oh, your scars are like my scars are itchy after surgery. So being able to
Hmm.
apply something that's natural. Like
Yeah.
my biggest thing is doctors will prescribe you something or you'll pick something up at the pharmacy and it's like our skin's our largest organ. So if I'm going to put something on
Yeah.
that's like has fragrance in it or chemicals in it, that's seeping into my incisions and where I had cancer, right? So it's
Yeah.
directly on my breast. So that was a big thing as to why I make all my own stuff and why I do all
God,
those
that's
things.
incredible. So for people who want to follow you and join your community and learn more about this, what's their best way to do that, Amanda?
So you
Through
can
Inst.
honestly just, yeah, Instagram or Facebook, just send me a direct message.
Yeah.
I'm a I'm a relationship person. So I spend time getting to know someone, hearing and learning, and then have an experience, right? I think just
Yeah.
this, I mean, I had skepticism a month ago about whether or not these oils were going to work for me. And then
Yeah.
just being able to say, like, if it doesn't work, like try something else. And that's what the doctor would have said to me. So it's like, it's
Yeah.
just kind of going, hey, if there's something else, or if it's just that you want to feel, I know how people reach out and be like, I'm going through the same thing. And I just want to hear about this, or I just would love to know about this. And I think that becomes part of it as well. And so, yeah,
Yeah.
Facebook, Instagram, reach out, shoot me a message. I'm really good at getting back and then can just chat.
Oh, that's so great. And I also wanted to bring up again that I was talking to you 1 month ago at this time. You were laying flat in bed, very limited mobility, and now look at you. You're just,
Yeah.
it's amazing. Yeah.
I'm going to be indoor golf this weekend. That's my plan.
Oh, good for you. That's great. And what are your plans for the rest of the day? What have you got going on in your busy
Oh,
schedule?
yeah,
Any
busy
driveway
schedule.
shoveling or?
No, so I am trying to play the card. I tried to play the card a little bit that I'm still injured because technically the doctor said 4 weeks.
Yeah.
However, I've been doing workouts. My husband's kind of like, you just did a workout downstairs. You can like, you're not going to shovel. I'm like, no, that's too much. So I did go out and like kind of just
Oh.
do little things, but I love snow. Like I love this weather, just like when
Hmm.
it's not too cold. So plan to do that. I've got I taught a class this morning, so I've got some follow up to do from that class. Teach a lot of education, so I've got another thing tonight. So it's just one of those entrepreneurial days where you just go with the
Yeah,
flow and
that's so great. I love it. We're so lucky that we can, we don't have to travel far down the stairs.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Today I had a good down the stairs. My studio's only like 10 minutes from the house, so, it's great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
see, that's a but. And you know what? It's like I just go walk. All I do is walk to the kitchen. There's lunch. There's, you know.
Yeah, exactly. That's one thing, Amanda, when I'm working at home, I'm always in the fridge. Like
Yeah.
and at my studio, I have a fridge, I have a toaster, like I've got food there, but for whatever reason at home, I'm like, oh, I could make, a soup, or I could do this, or I could roast something, or I don't know. It's terrible. Chips. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes I try not to have that in the house. So my husband bought stuff for Super Bowl, like for his own little, party thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, but then when it's in the house, yeah, like I feel like eating it, right? Like don't so then I try and buy some of the healthier stuff or I try and make some
Yeah.
of but like,
I should
so
ask you that. What's a good healthy substitute for chips? Because I would say that's my biggest downfall.
so I'll
Is
make
it-
some like so sometimes even just like getting like those corn tortillas.
Yeah.
At least they're, and then putting them, if you have an air fryer, putting them in an air fryer, it makes like your, your nacho or your taco, not taco, your
Yeah, like
Tostitos.
nacho chips. Yeah,
Tostitos, what are those
Tostitos.
called?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it makes that, but it's not deep fried. You're not getting all the like the fat from it. And then it is gluten free and, you can kind of have some control over that. I
Yeah.
honestly love, I dehydrate or get freeze dried fruit chips. So pineapple fruit,
Yeah.
dehydrated pineapple. I'm a sour key type person. I love sour
Oh,
candy.
I love those too.
And so like I know the
Yeah.
sugar feeds my cancer. You're not supposed to have that. I mean,
Yeah.
I might have a couple here and there, but pineapple dehydrated tastes like sour keys. So
Wow.
like
And where do you
that's
get
my
that?
go-to.
Bulk Barn? Just
Um,
get the Bulk Barn or?
no, I don't know if the bulk barn does. You have to make sure it doesn't have sugar. Like I have a dehydrator, but you can just put it in your oven at
Oh,
like the 150, like slice it on a mandolin really, really thin, put
okay.
it on like a cookie sheet, and
Yeah.
then just put it in the oven at like the 150. And you'll notice if you slice it thin enough, it doesn't take that long. And then it just, or like put it in the oven after you've cooked something in the oven and it's cooling down. And then it just crisps up nicely and is an awesome like snack. And it still feels like, 'cause like with chips, you're like that
Yeah.
crunch.
That's what I
Yeah.
love, the crunch.
Yeah. So you still have like
Yeah.
that crunch. You can do that with apples. You can do that with pears. You can do that with like a lot of fruit, but the pineapples are like sour candies.
Oh, that's so good. And you don't have to put salt on or anything. Just put it in naked.
Just naked, just bananas too. So like, how when you buy banana chips at the bulk barn, they're like loaded with sugar. If you just
Hmm.
get bananas and you dry them and you dehydrate them, they
Wow.
taste like bananas are naturally sweet. And then they have that crunch. So then,
Yeah. Oh, that's great. I also love kale chips. Do you ever make
Mhm.
kale chips in the oven?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So kale chips, and sometimes I'll indulge and buy actually one of these right now. These are spirulina, the banana crisps.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
but like they're awesome. They taste like bananas. So I'll
Yeah.
but like those are the types of things that I'll grab when he's eating chips, and I'm like, okay. But then
Yeah.
there's sometimes when like my favorite, he's like got the dill pickle, and I'm like, oh.
Oh, God. I know it's so hard, but oh, that's good. That's so great. And do you support people that way too, Amanda? Like when you're working with people and they need, because most of us are addicted to sugar.
Yeah, we all are. We all are. It's like
Yeah.
actually, so in some of the work that I've done, sugar's more addictive than like cocaine. And people don't
Yeah.
realize that, right? And coming off of sugar is like the detox or the remission that you go into and all the side effects that you feel of coming off of sugar is bad, like headaches and sweats and so but yeah, so for me, I wish, and I say this all the time, I wish essential oils were, and the doTERRA products were like all you needed. If that were the case, that'd be amazing. That'd be easy. But it's
Yeah.
not. Like it's a lot more work than that. And so
Hmm.
lifestyle, and I don't call it diet, just lifestyle changes, learning
Yeah.
about your body is all stuff that I feel like if you're not teaching about both, you're not going to get that success, and you're not going to feel happy. You're not going to feel like things are working. And it
Yeah.
becomes this foundational health, right? And it becomes, I kind of look at it like diet and lifestyle, your emotional like managing your emotions and your emotional well-being,
Hmm.
especially now. And then getting rid of toxins in your life. So then being able to remove those toxins, and what are you using in replacement of those? So being able to kind of keep that and keep your body, like our bodies are so amazing. Like they repair themselves so quickly. You cut yourself, it heals. And so it's just about fueling our bodies with those amazing tools and knowing how to use those tools. And if it doesn't work, what else can you do, right? Or what else can you learn?
Right.
So I feel like I'm a
Yeah,
student all the time. I'm always learning.
for sure. It's amazing. And it's funny. I think I'm about 10 years older than you. I'm
I'll be
51.
Yeah, I'll be 43 in December. I'm like, so my birthday's in
Okay.
December, so I'm like, I just turned 42.
Perfect. Yeah. So I'll be 52 this year. So yeah, we are 10. So
Yeah.
right. So now I'm going through like, perimenopause. I think I'm in menopause. But so the biggest thing that for this group is the belly, right? Like
Yeah.
now all of a sudden, I mean, I've always had a butt and hips, but I've never had the belly, and I'm like, what is going on? What is this? Like I can't even deal with this. So back like January the 5th, I said, that's it. I'm just going to at least cut alcohol out and see what that does for me. And it actually has like, it's funny. What I've noticed has gone down is the inflammation on the sides, like not so much my belly, but
Yeah.
on the side here. So, which is great. But yesterday I was so stressed, and my husband's like, "Why don't you have a glass of wine?" I go, "There is no alcohol in this house." And then he's like, "I have a treat for you." And Wayne doesn't drink. And he brought me like a little whiskey. He had like a whiskey bottle from, anyways, and he goes, "Just have this, like come on." And it was so nice, and it was comforting, whatever. But it's amazing how the alcohol also contributes to, with menopause, your hormones are going crazy,
Yeah.
obviously, whatever. And sometimes you're like upset, but you can't even really figure out why or what it is or what's triggered it, or then you're trying so hard to work it out. And sometimes there's just nothing to work out. You just, like you say, you just need to rest and
Yeah.
chill out a little and be nice to yourself, and that just a warm bath can help, something like that. So that's why I was like, the alcohol, but I can honestly say, I mean, I don't want to sound negative when I say this, but it hasn't made a huge difference to my mental state not having a glass of wine with dinner every night. But I, yeah,
Yeah. And I find
it's
that,
hard. You get emotionally attached to this stuff. Like I grew up with my parents drinking wine. My
yeah.
dad made wine. It's like, and same with the sugar, like a nice piece of cake or what we have, like our background's German, so it's like Kaffee and Kuchen, and like, when you can't, when you eliminate those things, it's the sugar addiction for sure. But
Yeah.
I think there's like this strong emotional component of what do those foods or those drinks mean to me.
Totally is. And it's
Yeah,
all subconscious. Like even if you look at everything we celebrate involves
yeah,
food, right? It involves food. And it's typically like your sugary, your junk food, right? So like
yeah,
birthdays, anniversaries, chocolate, Valentine, like all your
yeah.
holidays are surrounded around food.
Hmm.
So we're programmed as a society that like when you do good or when get this, you get a nice reward of some food, right?
Yeah,
And so I honestly had to change that whole perception of food. And my new
right.
perception became, because when I was right during my cancer treatments, and then for the first about 3 years after, 2.5, 3 years after, I was super clean. And I had to change my perception of what food was. My perception, most people's perception of food is like well, it's dinner time, we need to eat, or it's a party, we need to have food, there needs to be snacks, there needs to be this. I had to change my perception. Was I'm only eating to fuel my body with the nutrients and things that it needed to stay healthy.
Right.
And so I'd be
Wow.
eating something that like really didn't taste that good, but it was like filled with nutrients and I knew my body needed it. And so you just change, like by changing that perception. But it's so much easier when like where I was like, I don't want to get cancer again, right? I'm not
Yeah.
doing certain treatments. And this is what I'm doing to make sure that I keep my body cancer free, right? So
Right.
it's different than just being like, you know, and I even find myself now, like 12 and a half years later, I'm like, I give myself excuses to have like food, right? It's like,
Yeah.
how did that
Yeah.
shift? How did that like change? But it's because it's so embedded in our society. Like it is so ingrained in our cultural beliefs, in our societal beliefs, everything that we do, food is
Mhm.
there, right? So, and the
Yeah.
commercials and the this, that like it's all over, right? Even if you look at like
Yeah.
social media, I was like, what are you eating for dinner? And it's like this, you know, great food. And when I was, you know, recovering from cancer, I was be having like a green juice for dinner. And that didn't look that pretty. It didn't taste always that good. And then, you
Yeah.
know, some salad or some sprouts or some greens. And I just had to get used to like, it wasn't that, like, you're not eating to have that flavorful punch in your mouth. You're eating to just fuel your body with nutrients.
Yeah. Incredible.
Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing.
But it's
Good.
funny how quickly it shifts back to what it was before, right? Like
Yeah.
how addictive that sugar is.
For
I'll tell you
sure.
a funny story with it. So I was doing a
Yeah.
sugar detox. I do at least one a year. Typically I do it in January just to kind of, you know, that reset, and I come
Yeah.
off all sugar. So I don't eat processed sugar normally anyways, but then I come off of fruit sugar, and then I do just like if I'm having any vegetables, I try to keep like the lower sugar vegetables, right? But
Okay. So
you do it in
those
a
are
process.
like high sugar vegetables would be like carrots, parsnips, like that kind of stuff. Okay.
Beets, sweet
Beet.
potatoes, like yeah.
So green is better.
Green is better in terms of like low sugar, right? So
Okay. Gotcha.
now there's a process. Don't just come off everything at once. It's like start with the
Yeah.
processed sugar, start with, so then, you know, your body gradually gets used to detoxing off of it. And I make these raw, and they're super healthy. They're made of dates and they're made of cacao, and you keep them in the freezer. I
Mhm.
was on a part in the detox where I was only on like I had no fruit, no nothing, and it was just vegetables. And it's funny how your taste buds change. So I was reaching for like sweet peppers, like red peppers, to crave that sugar craving. And then all of a sudden, I found myself in the freezer, literally had one of these little raw cacao balls out, and like almost in my mouth before my brain even triggered that I was like eating something that I shouldn't be eating. It's crazy
Wow.
and I was like, what the heck? Like I almost, and because the thing is with sugar, if you have a little bit, it sets you right back because it like is feeding that addiction. So I'm like, I
Right.
almost like totally just ate this, not even really wanting it, but because I knew it was in there. And
God.
that like addictiveness of it made me go get it and like almost ruined my whole thing.
Isn't that crazy, Amanda? It's like nicotine.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, like yeah, it's people who say, I mean, I know there are people like that, but some people will say, I can have, a cigarette once a month. No, ain't no big deal. But I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
think so. I mean, unfortunately, I smoked like from 17 to 25. And that was the age I decided I needed to get it together and no more cigarettes. And I mean, back then, everybody was, most people were smoking.
Yeah.
And and there is no way I finally, I think from 20 to 25, I tried quitting 8 times. And when I finally realized that you cannot ever have one puff, you are addicted to nicotine, that's when I was able to say goodbye to it. But it's not so, I mean, that's easy. Like you said,
Yeah.
this is one of the reasons I think that sugar is the most addictive, because you you cannot avoid it for the rest of your life.
No.
Like,
No. And
it's
like
just
you
not
think
going to
of
happen.
products, like companies
Yeah.
sneak that stuff in there. It's in
Yeah.
things that it shouldn't even be in, like salad dressing. Why is there sugar in salad dressing? Or like weird things that you're like, I didn't
Yeah.
know there was. So you all of a sudden
For
start
sure.
looking at labels and you're like, Oh
Yeah,
my
peanut
goodness.
butter. People need to watch their
Yeah.
peanut butter. Like,
Icing
what the hell?
sugar.
Icing sugar. Remember the Kraft? Oh, I'm so happy my mom never bought that stuff. My mom was like health food store, like she still is now. She makes her kale chips but we were always at the health food store getting the crunchy peanut butter out of the big, you know.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's so true. And I think it's about balance. Like I do look at it for myself and, I'll have some sugar here and there. And I kind of have to remind myself, like, you're not going to be perfect, right? Like it's better.
Yeah.
And that stress that you put on yourself to be perfect is probably worse for you than
Mm,
eating that one like cookie or that, that indulgence that you have or
yeah.
that glass of wine that you have or whatever it is. That
Right.
stress that you create around
Yes.
contemplating it is so much worse for your body.
Such a good point. I actually, a couple of weeks ago, I interviewed a woman, and she works with women who are active over 40, who are going through perimenopause, and talking about hormones and how do we deal with all this. And that is exactly what she said. She goes, the worst thing you can do is eat the cookie and then regret the cookie, because then you're creating all these stress hormones.
Yeah.
She goes, if you want the cookie, eat the damn cookie and move on. Just be happy that you gave yourself something you wanted. Like, it's okay. And
So
it's
true.
so true. Like, it's this mind over matter. Because, God, as women, we really can beat ourselves up, can't we? Like,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
internal dialogue has to constantly be checked.
It's
It's
true.
it's so crazy. It's like,
Well, and you even think of like, I know people say to me, like, you're such a strong person. Where did that, like, you must not ever have those moments. I'm like, oh, don't be fooled. Like, those
yeah,
still all creep into, our mind and the subconscious and it comes out. And, you look at yourself. I'm no different than anybody else. You look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, oh, or I think the hardest part was like trying on different clothing and being like, yep, that doesn't quite look so nice anymore. Doesn't
yeah,
fill out that shirt anymore, right? Or
right.
those certain things. And so even a strong woman that like I'm confident, I'm okay with my body. I chose, I didn't choose to have cancer and have mastectomy, but I chose to have my implants out. And so I chose that and there's still moments where like, you get in your head and you're looking
Yeah,
and I remember the first time I came on a video and I was like, oh my God, people are gonna be looking at my breasts. I'm like, no, they're not. Like, and if they are, that's their issue, right? Like, where did I
yeah,
think in my head that someone's looking at my chest, right? Like,
yeah,
but we do, or I was wearing like a sweater to cover it up. And I'm like, hey, I've shared my story all over social media. So most people know I don't have breasts anymore. So like it's
yeah,
there. But
yeah,
it's one of those things. And, even just like over the weekend, like being naked with my husband. And I'm like, at first I was like, oh, I should cover up. Like that doesn't look, but like we're so like he
mm,
rubbed the scars. He was there for it all. Like he knows what it looks like. It's not, and he, is amazing and supportive, but it's amazing what gets in our head. And I am a strong person. I've done the emotional work. I've done the mindset work. I've done those things to make sure that I'm strong enough to go through this. And I
yeah,
still have those moments of like where you break down and you're just like, oh my
right.
God, right?
Yeah, so Amanda, that's so interesting that you say that, because don't you feel like that is just proof that our mind has the power to lie to us,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not our fault,
Yeah.
and that this work that you've done with like mindset and personal growth and becoming stronger and stronger, you do those things to correct that, or not even to correct it, but to just know that this isn't the truth, and
Yeah.
to quickly move from that to truth, because whatever we want the truth to be is the truth, and whatever is external that people are telling us we don't want to hear, that's not the truth, and whatever our mind is telling us that we don't want to hear is also not the truth,
Yeah.
right?
It's so,
So yeah, I think to be a human being, that
yeah.
is part of our work, is that we need to nurture ourselves, and we need to mother ourselves, and to tell that mind what it needs to know to function and be better. And good for you for I'm so amazed by you that you've done all this work, and I'm even more amazed that you're giving it away like it's candy. The candy bats like it's kale. No. But you know what I mean? Like you're just so, I just love that you just want to give this to everybody and you want everybody to know that they can feel this way too and that there's a way to do it. And it's awesome. You give
Huh,
people
thank you.
hope.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think it's just, and part of, it's if we can just bring kindness to everyone, if we can just bring someone some of that inspiration, and you don't have to be an inspirational person. Like, don't think that I like grew up being this inspirational person and like had, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that was not who I was.
Right.
But I think it's also just like when I love how you said that, Monica, just about, our mindset and how that is. But what I love more about that is that it shows us that we are totally capable of changing that story that we've got going on in our head that may be fake, and we can create something that we want it to be, right? And
Yeah.
so that's like, and that's the power of the mind in terms of when you're not feeling well. So when I was going through chemo, I was determined, good or bad, I was
Yeah.
determined that it was not going to change my life. Just wasn't going to change my life. Physically it might in terms of what you look like, but it was not changing my life. I was a runner. I was running all the time. I'm like, that's not going to change. I'm working out. I'm going to work still. Crazy. Who works? I cut down my hours, but I was like, yeah, I'm still going to work. Like I can still do
Yeah.
this. I work from home. But that mindset got me up every day to get dressed, made me feel like a normal person and didn't make me feel like a cancer patient. So the story running in my head, except for when I was not feeling great, was life's the same. Right. And then when I would
Yeah.
go for chemo, sure, that sucked, but it was kind of like being, okay, it's more than being sick, but it was like, here's a sick day, right? Take a day. And then
Wow.
you just keep going on that. And, people are like, I can't believe like you're running 10K. And I'm like, I don't run the whole 10K. And I struggled at the end of chemo. I was walking more than running. But the whole
Yeah.
point was I chose, like, it's about choosing and it's about still like creating that routine. And in that mind, I was not sick. This was not holding me
Mhm.
back. This was part of what I needed to do. And I think as we go through different struggles in my life or in our lives, and that reminds me, I got through that. You can get through anything. But even when we look at like what's going on in the world now, you can choose to be like, I'm going to stay in bed. This sucks. This is not good. Like whatever those negative things
Mhm.
are. Or you can find the joy in there's snow outside and go outside and play. Or, like you can find those joyful
Mhm.
things. And I feel like that's our choice in our mind, right? Like that's where we have, and that's what I love, because that's where we have so much power to just be like, this is not going to define me. Like cancer is not going to define who I was at that moment, and it can help me inspire people later, but it's not defining me as like, oh, the poor cancer patient, right? Or, oh,
Right.
you're struggling with cancer. It was like, wow, like you're going to be this strength of a person. You're going to show your struggles, but you're not going to let those struggles be the like be the end of you. I was gonna
Yeah.
say death of you because I wasn't dying, but like, and
Yeah.
I was like 100%. I'm like, this is not gonna kill me. Like, this is not gonna. I'm not gonna die. This is not the end of my life. I haven't done what I needed to do yet. This is not gonna
Yeah.
be the end of me, right? So,
That's fantastic. I love that. And it's interesting, like you having gone through that, and now, you know, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm just under the assumption that when you go through an illness like that, there's so much time that you spend reflecting and really getting in touch with what is it that I need? How do I want to move forward? What am I going to do to change? And I feel like we've all been given that gift now with COVID, like
mm-hmm.
where, you're fairly limited on what it is you can do. So there is a lot of this reflection time and time to, like you say, like you got a choice. You can either sit inside and sulk, you can go outside and enjoy nature. Like I think that's a really great mindset to have where you look at everything and you go, okay, so I got two choices here. Which one am I
Yep.
going to take? And one of the things as adults and growing up and life being so fast and all these responsibilities and everything, we kind of lose our sense of imagination and lose those magical moments that we had as children. And I think now is such a great time for people to just indulge in that stuff. And like, I was talking to a friend on the weekend, and he's like, you know what? I've started reading fiction. I never read fiction before. I was always reading business books. But he's like, I just love that I can escape to it, like a different world. And he's a musician, so it helps him create music, when he's in this different place. And it's so true. Like sometimes I'll be working at the studio and I'll just listen to a book on Audible.
Yeah.
It's like when you're a little kid and someone's reading you a story and it takes you to this magical place. And
So
yeah.
true. It's
So,
yeah, I think it's and it, there's parts of COVID that we can all be grateful. There's parts that no one likes and all of those things.
yeah.
But I think that's true with anything that happens in our life, right? And I feel like
Mhm.
with something as big as this, it's like at least you've got people by your side that are all experiencing the same thing, right? So
Yeah.
with cancer, I kind of felt very alone until I found kind of your group. People
Yeah.
didn't understand. I was young. I was
Mhm.
29. I didn't have kids yet. There was all that whole portion in there about fertility and all of that, and very
Yeah.
different. Like with COVID, there's a lot more people kind of dealing with the same thing that you're dealing with. And that's where we need to just be open to connecting with people, being open to be like, hey, I am struggling, or hey, this is like what I'm feeling, because there's
Right.
definitely people that are going through the same thing, right? And so,
Oh, yeah.
and it's like surrounding yourself with those people to support you, but then not to drag you down. Because I even found in the cancer world, you'll find people that get stuck in that negativity.
Hmm.
It's easy to just like, be like, yeah, that does suck. Or, oh yeah, I agree with
Yeah.
you. Instead of like kind of removing those people. And it might be permanently, because there's people that, you decide aren't important, but maybe it's even just for the time being that like, I just, I can't handle some of the
Yeah.
negativity. And it's like refreshing, right? It's like as an adult, you go, or as a child, you go from like different schools, right? Grade school to high school, and you kind of change friends. You get to decide who you are. You get to decide your identity. And then as you get older into adulthood, it's like, you kind of don't have this like breakage in like, doing new things, maybe starting a job or doing some things like that. But it was
Yeah.
kind of like a refresher. And so COVID's kind of been the other refresher to be like, are you happy with what you've got? Are you enjoying what's around you? Are you like all those different things? So
Yeah.
my personality is always taking like finding those positives. So if that's not you, because that's not everybody, right? Like that's just
Yeah.
not, find someone that does do that though, right? And be like, okay,
Yeah.
give it to me right now. Like give me the positives because I can't
Yes.
find them today.
Yeah. I agree 100%.
So,
Yeah. That's so great. Oh, Amanda, you're so awesome. And I
well,
get to
thank you
see
so
you.
much for today.
No problem. And I get to see you virtually tomorrow
I know. It seems
in
like
our little
all of our
women's.
virtual lands are having fun
Yeah.
and connecting, right, with strong, empowered women.
Yeah. That's what it's all about. Yeah. Well, you enjoy the rest of your day. Get all your things done and put your feet up tonight.
I will. I
Keep
might go
resting.
tobogganing.
And oh, tobogganing.
Who knows?
I
We'll
might have to
see.
meet you. I have one of those. I have one of those GT racers.
I only have like the magic carpet and the little like I don't
Ah,
know, the little tubes, but figuring like I can
that's good.
go, yeah. Well, I
Yeah, I
gotta be
love
careful I don't
tobogganing.
crash. Gotta be careful I don't crash.
Yeah.
Still not fully healed yet, right? But
Yeah. Maybe next week. We'll still
still
be
gonna
here
have
this
fun.
snow.
It'll
Yeah.
still be here. Well, enjoy the snow, everybody. Enjoy this beautiful day.
Yes.
And thank you, Monica, for having me come on and chat with you and just be inspired by you as well and how you touch
Oh.
so many people's lives.
Aw, thank you so much, Amanda. We love you.
All right. Bye guys.
Bye. Thank you guys so much for joining today. I had to put my glasses on. Um, it's been great. The interview on Facebook Live was wonderful. I will be sharing the YouTube link with you later today. And thanks you guys so much for being here. It meant a lot. And we'll see you back here again next Tuesday. And in the meantime, keep showing the world your sparkle. Love you. Bye for now.